model, is that his model, or is that what like the majority of flat earthers visualize when they're
Oh, that I think that dude's a concave earther.
oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
There's no universal model as of right now. Like we're still him hawing because of the Antarctica thing. And like as far as the AE map being dead, like I don't think the AE map is dead, bro. I think the sky is the sky. Like if you were to ask me right now, gun to my head, what I would use to fucking navigate, it would be the AE map, bro. There's no doubt about it. Like it's fucking. We still navigate circling the North Pole in the fucking center. That hasn't changed. You know, sky does something weird when you go south.
It makes me
If
want to
you
join the military just so I can learn how to really navigate the sea.
Yeah, there's still tons of other things too, like ships, like correct to the north still in the southern hemisphere. The distances are all fucked up. Like, yeah, it's not. It doesn't jive.
Yeah, and the general consensus I'm seeing is basically the pond. Most people agree in some sense of the pond model, right? Like we're in one like closed body of water, and there would be, as far as the eye can see, more ponds in the distance. Like Mars would be its separate larger pond to our like, looking at a compass on Earth, it'd be like northeast, and then southwest is like other planet names, and like the boundary around us is controlled and uh, managed by higher intelligent races, and they're at war with other intelligent races in those ponds. And I mean, I've heard a really interesting take on this, but they're saying that like our memory is even suppressed. Like inside our pond, we have a genetic marker that's we've been edited to basically affect our memory. And there are humans who are fighting some of these outer ponders who have gotten rid of the genetic inhibitor, and right, they're living older. They're highly intelligent compared to what kind of minds are in our pond. You guys heard any of that?
Not any of that specifically, no. I mean, like, there's an idea of outer ponders, but no story behind it that I know of.
Yeah, and it can't be that Mars is out there because you could be in the south, like South America, and you could be looking north to see Mars, and then you could go to North America and you could be looking south to see Mars. So Mars is definitely like between, what we call the north and south. Like it goes between the tropics, just like the sun does. So there's no way Mars could be in an outer pond
That makes
in terms
sense.
of that. Yeah, just that part of it. But I hear you on the other ideas or speculations of that. It's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of immediately had that response as well. It's like, are they just naming these ponds after things we see in the sky, or are they saying they're actually, not in the sky? They're a pond somewhere. But I think you're probably right. Just
Well,
no name.
Martin Kenny had a model that he kind of did that where he put the like Mars on the outer rings and stuff. So yeah, I don't know if what you're talking about came from that. There was a thing called Norbs, like Norbz, I think, like Norbs theory. He had done a bunch of animations and stuff, and I think that's the only place I've heard that idea that like Mars or Venus or something would be in like outer ponds. I think he's the only one I've heard that from, but it could be from somewhere else. But maybe someone took some of those ideas, and then was put, kind of linking some of those other ideas like you were saying to it as well.
They had to have, because it was like this documentary I listened to was the story of Admiral Byrd, like some legend of him going finding a melt pathway and him finding advanced civilizations down there, and they explained him the politics and stuff. Which later down the road I found out Admiral Byrd's journal, like the one that kind of went mainstream, is probably fake, but there is a real one, probably classified.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, he was a Freemason and connected in with the military, so yeah, it's kind of a as a source. It is interesting though, and it did seem like they were doing some exploring and stuff, and he went on TV and said he found this like more land rich with resources and all that, and the other in terms of in Antarctica and stuff. So yeah, it's all interesting, but it's hard to kind of pin that down in terms of anything for sure, just because of all of his associations and who he is, who he was.
Yeah, what is he really saying when he's saying there's a land as big as the U.S., with all these resources? And is he just like, a true new explorer, just kind of generalizing, or does he really know what he's trying to say?
Yeah, and why would they let him even go on there and say that unless that was a slip up? Because after that, he kind of like he didn't keep talking about that on TV. Like that kind of stopped there. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, in
Like if they're hiding it,
1960s.
why would they even let him say it at all if it's a complete hidden thing, But then on the other hand, like could that have slipped through and then they had to shut it down? Like whoa. But then that seems like that's not really at military level what they would do, Like just let some guy go on TV and slip out information. So and then you could say like was that planted, on the other side? Was that just part of like kind of a plant, to kind of build up certain narratives as well? But yeah.
Yep, and the timing is just great.
So angling, like I mean, you think like the AE map with the kind of two rotations and the 24-hour sun that like circles around the outside, was that kind of what you were alluding to? Like that kind of idea that it follows you, and that the sky maintains that, but then maintaining the AE map layout for the land.
Yeah, probably something like that, I guess. I think of it as like I said, you navigate still using the South Pole as the center. And like, yeah, there's a 24-hour sun over there, but you know, that's a 24-hour sun straight south of Punta Arenas. If you look at the thing that I posted from Michael Brenner, he posted the actual times of like sunrise and sunset and 24-hour sun in the different places in Antarctica, and places that are like really close together in terms of geography and distance are like wildly different in their sunrise and sunset times. And so, you know, the data is still anomalous. Like there's probably a reason they went exactly to Union Glacier at that time. You know. So yeah, I think physically the AE map is on the table. It's just that the sky doesn't. You can't correlate the sky to the ground for whatever reason.
I am 100% on board with that. I think the AE, it's still a vibe. It's totally viable. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense to people. I think it is totally viable. But also, I think that there is more land. So this map is a section of lit area with a certain cycle. So the map is functional for, I imagine, a period of time, maybe. Or, maybe it's just perpetual, but then maybe there's other sky phenomena other places. But I think it is only a section of the whole expanse. I don't think it is the whole Earth. And there may even be missing land on that map. So that's my inference, and you're welcome.
Well, that's why like the next like yeah, just measuring the distance between the southern continents would be the dead giveaway for that because yeah, obviously on the globe that would be a way less distance and AE would be much greater. So taking that trip and even if you didn't do like detailed measurements, but you just like had a crew with a boat that at least just took the trip, and then you could do your best in terms of timing and tracking the stars to get a general idea, without having to like get exact measurement because that's a bigger project. But yeah, that would be awesome to have that independent, outside of the claims of the government agencies and so on in
Well,
terms of what's
even
there.
if we did like zenith every sky object, it doesn't mean like we're still assuming there's no refraction looking straight up. That is a total assumption. And if the sky is doing what they claim to be doing, it's doing in the south, then it would be a total assumption. We can model based off of no refraction at zenith, but like given the known shit that's going on, I'm not sure that's the case. I have no confidence that is the case. So just because it's right above you doesn't mean that's where it is because there's less medium. I don't think that's what's happening. Ultimately, man, I mean, we could go into this forever, but I think that I think that this Earth is built in such a way that we are intended to travel. Like I think we're supposed to work together and meet new peoples and new areas, and we're supposed to travel and then find a place or people that makes the most sense for us, or something like that. I think that was like God's plan. But we've like strayed so far away from any of that that people, they don't even want to leave their house for nothing. They want delivery, like when I see the Northern Lights, my first instinct is, let's go there. Look at those colors, right? Right? That's like the first, you're like, oh, let's go there. I mean, isn't that, that's my instinct, like if you see a flower that has a bright color, you might go there. If you see a plant that has fruit on it, you're like, oh, what is that? That's a berry. There's an apple. I don't
Remember
know.
that guy
I
that
think
used to just real quick? That guy that used to say compass, like come pass. He used to say, go to where the compass points, come pass. Remember that?
are you talking about the guy that went to the North Pole and
No, this was like, remember the blood over intent? He did blood over intent. I'm just not
yeah,
remembering his name.
that's who I'm talking about.
Well, there's a different guy that like did that trip that he was on Glowbusters, but then I'm just forgetting this guy's name. I want to say like Dustin. I forget what his name was, but he did the blood over intent, had that channel.
Dustin, Devin.
Yeah, maybe Devin or something. Yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, those guys raised
Devin
thousands of
Maggi.
dollars
Devin Maggi
to
Sorry, go
go to the North Pole, and then they filmed like a couple clips of them like jumping on some rocks and shit. I don't think they made it. And then there was just no updates. Just kind of disappeared. Like, okay.
No, I hear you about wanting to go there. By the way, that guy's name is Devin Maggi, and he used to say
okay.
He used to say compass, come pass. But it just reminded me when you were saying like, because like the compass points north, so it's like, hey, let's go this way. You would think that, yeah. But I guess those things. I mean, I guess I hear you on wanting to explore those things, but I guess with all the limits of what we have, I mean, yeah, you can. Well, there's certain things you can do, but I'm saying like just the limits of being able to travel like solo like that, like all the equipment it takes, I guess is what I'm saying. So then you have to have certain equipment, and then that has to be licensed, and that has to be given, allowance through the government, and then now you're into that whole thing. So I guess that's what makes it difficult. But yeah, I mean, how do we even get in this situation? Somebody was doing that exploring, and then they seemed to locked us down. So someone else was doing it and was like, hey, let's lock these people here so we can have access to the rest of it. It seems like so.
They're doing something. I don't know what. I mean, I think there's probably something in the middle, probably something around the outside. But there's probably more than that, and that's when it gets crazy. Like how much is it intended for me? In my purpose.
Yeah, I mean the thing about the AE map though, like if you put like over in south of South America, you've got 24-hour sun there at Union Glacier, and then if it was the AE map, you then go over to like south of Australia or south of South Africa. If you were to have a friend there in one of those, and then you're at Union Glacier and you're all seeing the sun circle you, when you're in like different sides of the room, basically, of the circular realm in that from that layout, and then if they're both seeing a 24-hour sun, then yeah, it just doesn't really reconcile with the physical layout of that. Like unless you have two suns or multiple suns, but then
I think it's totally refraction, dude. I think it is because that
Like
that
an-
explains like the distribution of light. Like that when I post that image of the droplets of light, and that when you have a light source pointing at them, and the droplets are only half lit on the inside. Well, it's refraction that's causing the dark. I think the luminaries are submerged in this fluid, and there's a electromagnetic phenomena happening up there, and just due to the distribution of light, you're not gonna just because I'm sorry that just due to the fluid itself, I think you're gonna get refractive properties depending on like what angle and the you're looking at it through. I just think that's the case. It's the final component, and it is the one missing component to really seal the deal for all the stuff. But we have all this information that points to this is the case, except the actual proof that it is, right? Like you have all the components. We know the temperature supports a superfluid. We know that quantum locking can make those motions happen in the sky. We know that the sky objects are following flux lines. We know that the magnetic field has to propagate in a particular way. We know like the sky phenomena is confirmed to make a globe map, which means that to at least some rough degree, the AE map is somewhat accurate, right? So if it is off, it's not off by much, but it doesn't mean like it is physically the case because it doesn't explain. Like when you're looking at an AE map, it's showing you a 2-dimensional explanation, right? It's not showing you a 3-dimensional model. There's no, I mean, you don't see rain clouds, like you're not seeing anything on that thing. So like to like dismiss something based out of context is like so unfortunate that people have like they've just made a conclusion or they've thrown something out or something like that. The necessity to like choose and to pick something for sure. I'm denoting that all of the necessary properties, all of the as far as I can tell, confirmable science that is non-biased, all the phenomena of like the way that light operates at scale. I see this being possible, but without actually making, oh man, without actually like grabbing it in my hands and making the assessments and going to all these places on Earth to verify. It's the one thing I wouldn't be able to do. Right? Now I can show that modeling refraction into the atmosphere, even with the kind of atmosphere that they gave us, gives us an extremely similar phenomenon on a flat surface, which is strange because that would mean if it works on a flat surface, then that same refraction on a curved ball wouldn't actually work when you model it. You would have to assume the atmosphere is not there. Otherwise, the sky shit doesn't work. That should be a heads up right there. Dude, this video I've been passing around from 2018, I'd seen it a long time ago, and I don't know why people they just totally dismiss it. All they're doing is taking gradients of atmosphere that they claim exist, like non-biased measurements and stuff, that this stuff is up there to some degree. And all they do is model it. All they do is model it. When you place it on a flat surface, you get the sky, you get the sun going up and down, you get the stars moving in the right patterns. I mean, it's very rough draft, but everything fucking moves the way that you would see it. And it only works that way if you model the refraction on a flat Earth. That should be a fucking heads up right there. The fucking alarm should be going off with people. Because if you model that on a globe, it doesn't work. The refraction model on a globe would be too complex to function the same. You wouldn't get the sky phenomena that we get. You have to assume the sky doesn't really have any effect. You would have to assume the refraction and the mediums of the sky wouldn't have any effect on the light phenomena, on the sky phenomena.
Yeah, dude, to try and put optics into words is like next to impossible, dude. I can understand things like physics way better than I can understand optics,
Okay,
like you're talking
welcome.
about things working better over like an AE map, just something as simple as like the jet streams and shit. They're all jumbled on a globe. You put them on an AE map and gee, wow, it looks a lot more coherent, So like I understand the sky is doing what it's doing, going back to what Geo originally was mentioning there, but you do have to separate that from like what's physically happening down here. Because the sky is confounding, but what physically happens down here is that, you know, it's like the AE map. It's just
Dude,
that the
I
sky
think
don't
you would
match
have to
that.
be the case. I think you would have to be the case.
Yeah, it is. It's like the sky's telling you that, but the sky is fucked up because it's all crazy spherical optics.
Like when you
But it's also
use reflections, you can polarize light and figure out, you can like learn things about a reflection. But if it's just refracted, it would look the same, just I don't know, backwards, for example. Inverted, for example. It would have the same brightness, same motion. It would be
if
it's
if
just
we
such
are
a mind
indeed
fuck.
talking about a firmament that was made by an omnipotent creator, like we're talking about a technology and that's just it's going to be beyond our comprehension to a certain degree. Like I think we can understand this place, and I think the lenticular lens idea is right on point, you know. But how we go about proving that, I don't know.
Well, I just show people proof of concept. I mean, I can't. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
even
all we
know
can do.
how
Yeah.
I could scale, dude. I don't even know how I could scale this. Like,
Just the idea that a simple lens or a dome over the top gives us a, you know, a counter rotating sun and stars, you know. Just that alone, it's like, okay, you've got, you know, proof of concept, like you said right there, you know. And like, yeah, we need to work out some more of the details, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know why we glossed over that and the AE map so quickly.
yeah,
Like I had to
I
sit there and
know,
think
I
about it.
know.
Like really, like I said earlier, it's a really good point. Like gun to my head right now, what map are you using to navigate across the world? I'm fucking going AE map, dude. I don't have a better one.
Well, and it's functional for the ground. But when you're introducing like multiple layers of mediums in the sky, dude, why even point to the sky to define the Earth? It's like so beyond me. I have no idea why people would do that.
Why? Well, it's you know it's invented as dude. It's a navigation device and it's a timekeeping device that's available to everyone everywhere on Earth all the time. Like obviously a designed system. You know what I mean? So like the purpose, there's purpose behind it. You know. So like you can use it to navigate, like I said. So obviously there, you know, there's some coherent reason there, if that makes sense. Like we want to understand how like mechanically it works, but it's like its functional interface with a human consciousness is its reason for existing. So you know maybe that's why we, you know the mechanisms to us seem so difficult to figure out. You know, is because we're just supposed to use it as a timekeeping and navigation device. But I do think there is deeper truths there to be learned. You know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. This whole flat Earth shit's been psyop to hell, and people didn't pick up on it, or they didn't listen, or they just didn't pay attention to it. They're like, "Oh well, you know what fucking bugs me? It's when like it's when they say that like the flat Earth is like the I guess I would say like it's the most whatever thing that you could know. But then if I say like, okay, well, here's a group of people that I know are controlling this movement. If this is the greatest thing for us to figure out, wouldn't you want to know about those people also? You know, and so then there's this whole class of like very intelligent followers of this movement that are totally blindsided just by being unaware that like there are active handlers at the wheel and that they rolled this out and they executed it intentionally and they killed it intentionally. They made it an active effort to kill it scientifically, and that the only legitimacy left is left with a biblical, like this whole label of like a biblical extremist in the main view. So anybody like myself who's not a biblical extremist, I would be seen as like a kook, right? A quack. They have a website about quacks, right? This is very popular. I was taught about quacks in school by my teacher. He said, "Oh, look at this doctor. He's considered a quack." Went straight over to a website like uh what's that website? The Flat Earth I don't know, the debunk site with all the crazy investigation on individuals. You guys probably know what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to think what it was.
It's got all like if there's anybody that's prominent in Flat Earth, your picture and your detailed information is there.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, this whole thing was rolled out. It was rolled out with a map uh, based on an argument that the sky functioned the same way that the globe did, except the answer was perspective. And if you only use perspective, you lose. You lose right out the gate. It doesn't offer explanations for everything. If you're not using the way the light moves, through the medium of the atmosphere, then you've lost the argument completely. And the argument never progressed past that. People would say perspective. They would say that like things disappear from bottom up because perspective. They would say all kinds of things that like perhaps were, reaching or not even true. And the argument never progressed to any kind of like healthy degree. Like I had been posting this refraction stick and shadow test video that came out in like 2016. I've been posting it for like 9 years. Hardly anybody fucking watches it. And then even if they do, they say, oh, this is wrong. I counted 10 errors right away. I'm like, bro, there's like 2 or 3 errors in the video. It's 10 years old. So what? Like, could you not even comment on the valid points in the video, of which there are a multitude of a 46-minute video? Like people they're not progressing their understanding of this real argument. And at the same time, we're not taking awareness of the fact that this whole movement was generated with a purpose to kill it. They want to kill flat Earth. So they roll it out with a fake understanding, with a linchpin to kill that fake understanding. They used an effigy of this map with a false understanding about the sky, and then they killed it with TFE on time.
That's
They
why
tried
I'm
to.
researching it.
Everybody, what?
Yeah,
Hank?
my bad. I was just saying that's really why I'm researching it, because to me it was visible that they were like running content with straw mans. They weren't even explaining what flat earthers believe. For me that was like a big red flag. They're so.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and here I am, right? And here I am, and even like most prominent FE engagements, they don't really go into this topic. They don't go into the refraction topic because it's something we can't verify. It's something that we can't actually we can't science it. So I'm not going to bring it into a debate. So then the topic was always about debates, and then it was always debate. So they would only talk about the stuff that would, they could at least evidence their point, which is we see extremely too far. Like we see the distances that are unnatural on a globe, right? This is a prime argument. And then it also helps that the people who are defending globe, they don't really understand, or at least won't concede, why things look strange in the distance for a multitude of reasons. But it still doesn't explain why things look perfectly clear 100 times further than they should in some instances. That's not explained on a globe. You could say refraction all day. There's no way you're going to get perfect refraction at the lowest layer of atmosphere 100 times further than your predicted cutoff. That's not a thing. Go to a house of mirrors. Go to a house of mirrors and see if your image looks perfect 100 feet away instead of like a foot away or something like that. Refraction doesn't work like that. The more error that the further away you are, the more error you're entering into that observation. Right? So if you see something 3 miles away, because that's where your supposed horizon is supposed to be, and you can see another 30, there's a 10 times error there. There's no amount of refraction that's going to make that just go away, or even make it possible, to be honest. You would need dude, the way refraction works, I really don't think seeing something 10 times the distance is a reality. That's a pipe dream. I mean, have you guys ever seen like through glass sideways? How opaque things become, or like through different layers, like multitude different layers of glass, how opaque something becomes in the distance. And it's just glass. That's all it is. Right? That's what the air does. It's not going to project something with perfect clarity to appear as if it's on a flat surface. Refraction will make light bend down, and so the image of the object is going to be in a curved relationship. And so what do we see in the distance? We see a curved relationship. So and so then here's the thing. How do you differentiate globe curve from refraction curve. And why is it just the case that refraction curve follows the globe curve perfectly? That kind of like diminishes the argument. You're picking one over the other at that point. I mean, if I could just see the back of my ass, then your refraction is no different than curve itself. So why can't I just claim refraction?
Yep.
It's very like this stuff is like super rudimentary actually. I mean, you could science the hell out of it. You can make it extremely complicated. And really confuse a lot of people who'd be better off not hearing that shit. But the argument
That's a
stands.
good way to put it.
I'm fairly fucking certain this place is flat, and I'm fairly fucking certain the sky is doing some weird shit because of refraction. I can't verify those layers. You know, this is a weird fucking existence. And it's even weirder that people would want to push this globe stuff. That's
Oh,
just my
true.
subjective fucking stance. This is it's a weird world, man. Weird times.
I was gonna say something, but I forgot what it was.
It'll come back, I'm sure.
Well, part of what you were saying, like when you say refraction rigs, are you like with a 24-hour sun? Are you talking about like somehow the sun like being able to be changed in its position dramatically in some way, or are you talking more about like an idea of like internal reflection, or if you have like a crystalline structure, that has a lot of different refractive qualities, and then you had a light source or some source, that could be, it's just like in like a, well, I guess if you say like one of those like fun house with all the mirrors, and if you have a light, you're going to get you can have one flashlight, but you can see a bunch of different flashlights depending on the internal reflections of the mirrors, and so you can
I
be.
don't think it's an internal reflection, and I don't think there's like two poles and like two suns and or whatever the fuck. I don't believe in any of that, and I don't think it's a reflection at all. I think that there is a massive pool of liquid in the sky, and when you see that through that liquid from different angles, and it's different. Well, I don't know if it would be density, but I would say like shape, because from the middle you would have a large pool of it, right? That is like taller, and then from the side you would have more of an angled lens. So it'd be looking through a different lens because of the shape of the pool. So when I posted something, I don't know if you should scroll up, look at it. Like the whole arrow through the water thing. It's like that. It's like that. I think that we're looking like the sky is a big pool of liquid, and it performs as a screen. So like everything that is beyond or submerged in that liquid is being projected onto the surface of it. And then it is further refracted through the layers of air. Okay, so first you have, that magnifying glass, which acts as our location. If you're standing at the center of that magnifying glass, the sky will present itself as a curved object. Okay, and then you have the man in the pool, where the light is being pushed to a completely different surface, and you're viewing it from a different angle. So when the man is facing you, his body is facing the other direction on the glass of the pool. This is how the moon operates. This is how the sky objects operate. The way that they face you, even though if you're at a different location, as if it's facing you and not like another direction, right? This is purely because of the medium it's submerged in. It's projected onto that surface to appear as if it's facing you. And then you have the arrows, which just change direction just because there's a fluid in there. That's it. I think whatever the sun is submerged in, or whatever it's beyond, however that refractive relationship works, I think it just rotates the other way, because the sky has a profound effect on what we see, or what we can see, and when we can see it. These are like fundamentals for how vision works through different mediums. It's not even that complicated. But it's hard to imagine to attribute the sky to phenomena of which we can't access. We can access it down here on an individual basis, but the glory of the sky showeth his handiwork, right? Like we just can't go up there. We're not meant to go up there. So all I can do is just take basic shit and apply it to the sky. And it's not that complicated. The only thing that's fucking complicated is dealing with these globers who have like absorbed entirely separate understanding from basic shit. Like how they would come in here and say that the sky is blue because of like light scattering instead of just saying the ozone is blue. And then you go and find out that, you know, a large percentage of the sky was tested to be blue, like, I don't know, it was like 100 years ago or something, or maybe 50 years ago. And that explanation's been thrown out for this light explanation because it fits the narrative, you know? And that's fine, but it's just so much more interesting once you understand that, like the way that the sky lights up during the day isn't because of sunlight. It's because of noble gases being electrified. They're being ionized. That's so much more profound that we live in an electric relationship with the earth, a magnetic electric relationship. An etheric, which I think is an electrical spirit, so to speak. I think it is the prime mover, in my opinion. So much more interesting when you throw out all these, like, it's just, dude, they've butchered all of the natural beauty of the earth. This fucking makes me sick.
So if there is water above, and water stops quite a lot of the electromagnetic spectrum, why do we still measure the
No,
electromagnetic, which is
water,
stopped
bro.
by water?
Liquid, not water.
Yeah, well, any kind of liquid, which stop most of the electromagnetic radiation.
Well, maybe. Superfluid. Okay, so they say at around 60 miles is the ionosphere, right? I think that's about where things start to change. I think maybe that's where a superfluid maybe either begins or like a different medium begins.
Yeah, but the superfluid will also but the superfluid will also stop a lot of the electromagnetic radiation that we measure coming from above. So that gives us another problem.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems. It's a lot of problems.
Yeah, because without any water or any dome or whatever, then there is no problem of how the electromagnetic spectrum is measured.
Well, I mean, you could define in terms of the scale of your preference. So, I mean, if you just say it's a vacuum up there, right? Then you can claim all the distances you want, even if it's just 60 miles.
I'm not talking about distance. I'm just talking about the broad electromagnetic spectrum we measure as we look up into the sky. It doesn't work with a fluid, and then the electromagnetic spectrum that is stopped by a fluid must be created on the inside of this fluid.
Yeah, well, it's a highly ionized fluid. If there is a fluid, it's highly ionized. So I think the properties might be different than you assume.
Well, if it's high ionized, it just makes the problem worse.
Maybe.
If the electron density is high enough, that stops quite a bit of the electromagnetic spectrum.
But what are you presuming it's stopping though? Like what are you evidencing as being stopped?
A lot of the electromagnetic spectrum that's coming to us from up there somewhere. If you put water in front of it, quite a lot of that electromagnetic spectrum is stopped. So that means if there was a fluid of some sort, no.
Yeah, it's totally separate, man. Not a.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've got a mute. Sorry.
Okay.